What's up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today, you guys, with a brand new review for Married at First Sight, Season 18, you guys, Episode 3. The episode was titled Wedding Bliss or a Miss, you guys. Now, before we go ahead and get into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and then having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, you guys, and also by sharing the video. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss this episode of Married at First Sight, shall we? All right, give me just a second. So I'm gonna I don't know if I'm gonna go in order of the couples how we got them in the episode. I feel like I'm gonna save certain couples for later because there are some couples that I do want to talk about that I got a lot of extensive notes on, and some that I don't. But I guess the couple who I'll start up with the first is going to be Camille and Thomas. So when it comes down to Camille and Thomas, I do like those two together. Only thing with Camille and Thomas is I look at Thomas and Thomas is very he's monotone for one, but then he also is very bashful to me. And I'm like I don't know when I look at Camille, I just wonder how that's going to work out with them because her personality and his personality, I honestly look at them and I feel like their personalities would clash with one another. That's my personal opinion, but you guys definitely tell me what you think and feel about them in the live chat and in the comment section. So, this is the day after the weddings, and y'all might hear a plane flying over my head. My bad if y'all hear that plane. So, yeah, it's the day after the wedding. So, they talked about how good the night was for them. She was happy that he didn't snore, but with him, he was talking about the fact that he was just thinking about the worst case scenarios. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting that you would be thinking about the worst case scenarios. Now, I know, like going into it, you may be thinking about some of the what ifs, like what if she's this, what if she's that, what if, right? I know going into it, you would think that stuff, but not on the wedding night. But neither here nor there, right? I like them. I think they're a beautiful couple. Um, so he asked her, has she ever been with an older man before, right? And she said, yes, she typically prefers to, date older men because she feels that, when it comes to the older men, they tend to be more mature. And I was like, in theory, that's what you would hope with some older men, but some of them be just as childish as, younger men can be. So I got where she was coming from, but you you get what you get, right? You get what you get. But they did talk about that, and then, like I said, Thomas is very monotone because we see as he went to go, meet her family, and like I said, monotone on top of the fact that again, like I said, he's kind of shy and kind of bashful as well. So, the family asked him how was the night for them. He said, all was good with he and Camille, right? So Camille's family was just basically telling him that when Camille gets angry and get in her and get angry and stuff, that she can be quite defensive. And I was like, I don't know if that. See, this thing is when it comes to, I'm kind of like him when it comes to arguing. I'm not somebody that's gonna sit there and argue with you. I'm gonna let you talk, hear you out, and then once you done saying once you're done saying what you're saying, then I'll chime in and give you my input. And sometimes people don't like that, but that's my personality. I am not an argumentative person at all. Nothing about me screams argumentative. And when I see people who are argumentative and in public, I'd be like, why are y'all doing that? Like sometimes I think people do it for attention, and I think that's the other reason why I don't do it. It's just not for me personally. But yeah, they told him that. So then we see her as she's with his family, right? And honestly, this is where I kind of tuned out because I know they were talking about, him wanting kids and all that kind of stuff. They're hoping that with Camille that she can round out Thomas. And for a minute there, I actually forgot that he had a twin brother because I was like, wait a minute. I just kept looking. I was like, when they sat down, I was like, oh, that's right. He does have a twin. But yeah, that's really it with Thomas and Camille. I do like them. I'm interested to see how things progress with them, and we'll see. So the next couple we will talk about is Emem and Ikichi. Now I got a lot of questions when it comes to Emem and Ikichi, more so on Ikichi, because just like one of her, like Emem's family member brought up, the fact that he auditioned for Married at First Sight Houston and he's also on this show, it does beg the question, like, the first time I get it, you tried out for it, they didn't find you a match, but then you decided to try it again and move to another city and state. It's a little, I'm kind of confused about it myself. And I'm not saying I think he's a bad person. I have a question mark about that, right? But we see as these two are getting along swimmingly well with each other, right? We find out that he's an early morning person. He goes to the gym in the morning. She likes to sleep in. That's me too, right? Like I have really thought about going to the gym early in the morning, but I can never. I'm not a morning person, so I can't get myself up that early in the morning to go to the gym and work out. I'm more of a night owl when it comes to working out. I prefer to go to the gym at night and get it in, and then come home, go to take a shower, go to sleep, wake up the next morning feeling refreshed, right? So with them, we see as they're meeting each other's families, and they're both talking about how good the night was. Ikichi did talk about the fact that his alarm went off and she continued to sleep. So her family, I don't know who the woman was, but she asked him the question, what made him want to get married, right? And Ikichi said he had a desire to get married, but he did also mention that he was engaged, I think 12 years ago when he was 25, he said, right? The engagement didn't work out and it was on him. Now, later in the episode, we found out that he cheated. And I don't know if it was in this relationship, but he cheated, right? And he says that, after that, he's he got to know himself, right? And I was like, okay, that's good that you got to know yourself. So they asked him what he learned, right? And he said that he's learned to listen to what people tell you, right? So if a person tells you that I'm crazy, don't don't be like, oh no, you just saying that. I was like, some people do say that to run you away, and some people do have, some people may innately be that way. But I was like, okay, if that's what you want to say, go for it, right? So, like I said, the question came up about him auditioning for Married at First Sight Houston and also this. And he asked her, he's like, well, you must not know what the process is. It's not even the fact that what the process is. It still is a little interesting to hear the fact that you were picked for Houston, but they couldn't quote unquote find you a match. But then you came back in another city and they found you a match. So I got where she was coming from. Are you actually in this for love, or are you in this more so for the opportunity? Because I will say that when Amem was with his family, I don't know who that was that brought up the fact that he's a poet and he's an author, and asking her how she gonna stay centered if other women come up around him knowing who he is. And I thought that was a rather interesting question to ask. My thing is, if other women come up to him on the street, know who he is, and he completely forgets who his wife is, that speaks more to him. And that would be a thing for me to say, you know what? If that's what you like and that's what you want, then why don't you go over there and be with that and not be with me? But for her to ask that question, I just thought it was a little, I didn't like that answer, that question. I truly did not like that question. But you guys can tell me what you think and what you feel about it down in the comment section below, you guys. So after they met up with the family, Amim and Ikichi, they sat back down with each other, and Amim was telling him that she's worried because his family mentioned the fact that he's looking for a unicorn. And she was like, when you think of a unicorn, you think of perfect or perfection, right? And she said, I'm not perfect, like I'm imperfect, right? And she was like, she's hoping that, as the process goes on and as they get to know each other, that he does see things in her that he likes, right? And that's that. Now, I will talk about them when they got on the honeymoon. Girl, Mim, I'm sorry. I know I'm a black man too, but there are some things in which I would never touch, and I am a country black man at that. I don't eat chitlins. I don't eat pig feet, hog mog, liver, intestines, gizzards, none of that stuff. Oh God, all that stuff just sounds it's nasty to me. No offense to my people who eat it out there, because my family members eat all that stuff too. It's just stuff of which I will never, and I mean never, touch. Oh God. No ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am. Mm-mm. But that's it for Amim and Ikichi. Let's go ahead and move on to the next couple, you guys. Now, the next few couples that we finna get to, I got a lot of questions when it comes to some of them. I guess the first one up is Juan and Carla. Juan and Carla, you guys. I don't even know So Juan and Carla, we find out that the night before, all they did was cuddle with each other. She's heavy on cuddling and kissing, right? Cool. What I do have a question about is Juan. Now I know you're doing a startup company, right? But are you like a penny pincher? Because you was talking about how you can the things like you were talking about what you can make and how much it costs in the store and stuff. I was like, are you a penny pincher? You know what? Let me hush, because at this current time, it's okay to be a penny pincher, because going into 2025, your boy is going to be pinching them pennies. So let me not even talk about it, right? Let me not get into it. So we see as they met up with their families, right? And I had a thought when I saw their family, but I'm gonna keep my thoughts and my opinions to myself. So I don't know if that was his grandfather, but his grandfather um asked Carla what she does for a living, and she told him what she does, right? I was like, "Ooh, Grandpa probably think you a gold digger, Carla. Grandpa probably think you a gold digger." So they did ask about, kids and stuff of that nature. So with Carla, she feels that when they have kids, she wants to be at home with the kids, right? And I don't have a problem with that. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I don't feel like that's what Juan is going to be going for, but good luck to you, Carla. I don't know if y'all going to make it to a decision day and stay together. So his grandfather also feels that in a marriage, it should be 50-50. I don't want to have that conversation about 50-50, because I will say, kind of like what Carla said, whatever works in your relationship, whatever works in your marriage, it works for you. If 50-50 works for you, it works for you. If 80-20 works for you, it works for you. If 100% on your husband, and if your husband take care of the household and you just buy the groceries, take care of the stuff for the kids, whatever, if that stuff works for y'all, it works for y'all. I don't get into other people's relationships or business, because that ain't got nothing to do with me. So that's what I will say. Whatever works for you and your household. And I actually agree with Carla. And I I kind of found it weird that the grandfather was asking that question, right? But again, like I said, y'all probably looking at Carla as if she a gold digger. So with Juan, he was talking to her family, right? Her family is letting him know that Carla would prefer to be at home with the kids when they do start to have kids. Um, but Juan says that for him, at this, in just while he's starting up his company, that he wants for Carla to, contribute to the household. Now he does say he doesn't need anything from her, but he would prefer it if she contributes to the household. Again, that's going to be a conversation that these two have to have with one another. This kind of gives Noy and what was his name on the Boston season? Damn, I can't think of what. Just kind of give them. But hey, good luck to you. I know one thing I do know about marriage, even though I'm not married. The one thing that I do know is finances play a big part in a relationship. So they will eventually figure it out, probably once they get to the shared apartment. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next couple, you guys. And that will be Madison and Alan. Now, Madison and Alan. First of all, Alan, sir, why you got on these goddamn underwear? I was like, ew. No offense to you, but no, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. So these two are talking about what their expectations are, right? And he's talking about his last relationship, how he was in a relationship with a woman for 4 years, but he only broke up with her about a year to a year and a half ago. And we found out from Madison that she's never lived with any of her exes, right? I was like, this is going to be interesting once y'all get to that shared apartment together. I am, the thing with Madison and Alan is you can instantly tell that Madison has no kind of attraction to Alan. And I really feel bad for Alan. I really felt bad for Alan. So we see as they met up with the family, right? So they asked her how she feels, right? About, being married. She says that it feels like they've clicked. And she told them, so she's feeling good. Honestly, I don't think she's feeling good. I think if we're being honest with each other, I think she's trying to spare his feelings and his family's feelings because again, like I said, I don't think she's really that into Alan, right? Because she said waking up to him, it was good, but you ain't woke up to is again. I don't think that she's attracted to him. Hopefully, we don't get hopefully we don't get some of the people that we've had in the past that weren't attracted to the husbands that they were with, like Alyssa. I think she was from Boston, and then Alyssa was the good person. It was another one that wasn't attracted to the husband at all and had a issue. But so far, she's being cool, right? So Alan, he met up with her family, and he was telling them about talking to them, right? He's telling them that he does want to have kids within the next 2 years, right? So her dad brought up the fact that since y'all are married, why don't y'all go get tested together? And I was like, you know what? I wouldn't be I'm not I wasn't offended by it because it was a good thing to say, right? Because y'all are strangers, y'all don't know each other, so what's the harm in going and getting a panel done on yourself to make sure that everybody is good, right? Although Alan is like, I ain't been with nobody in, since my last relationship. And even with her, she was the only person that I was with. But he said, 3 weeks ago, he went and got a test done and everything is good, right? And he did tell Madison about that as well. So he did ask her family if he's her type. And they straight up said no. And they told him that her type is typically pretty boys, right? And so later in the episode, he asked her what a pretty boy is, and I'm like, sir, it's you know what? I don't know. I, yeah. So for me, I know what the term pretty boy is because I've been called a pretty boy my entire life because I am a pretty boy, right? I am someone who cares about how I look, how I smell, my clothes and everything, right? When I go out somewhere, my hair is, I have a fresh haircut, my beard and stuff is lined up and trimmed, all like I am trimmed up. Everything looks good on me, right? So I know what a pretty boy is. Does he necessarily give pretty boy? Not really. He gives someone who is just, they even he said it, he even said it like at home when he works, right? There's some he don't typically go on camera because if he don't have to put on any clothes, he don't put any on. He typically just wears what he has on, right? And I definitely get that, especially in this environment where everything, people work remote, like I work remote. And there are days where I get up in the morning and, I brush my teeth and I get on my computer, and that's literally it. And I what I will say is I do hate getting on camera in my job too. Thank God my boss is off tomorrow because we ain't gonna have a huddle, so I don't have to get on camera. But yeah, I got where he was coming from, right? And so we see them as they were in Mexico. Now going back to his family, so his family did ask Madison what she wants, right? She said, and why this process? She said because she had a hard time dating and she wants a lifelong commitment from this, right? Now, the question that I always ask and wonder when it comes to married at first sight. So you had a difficult time dating. I just wonder how do you take the deep plunge to say, "Let me go marry a complete stranger"? Like I always kind of get a little confused when it comes to that part. Not confused. It just begs a whole slew of questions. But it is what it is. And let's go ahead and wrap up, you guys, with the last couple who I definitely don't see lasting, Michelle and David. When I say good luck to Michelle and David, good luck to Michelle and David because Michelle. Now, here's the one thing that I will say, right? So they talked about, we see them as they wake up the next morning from the wedding. They both tossed and turned, so they didn't sleep well. His alarm went off early in the morning and woke her up. And she asked him, "So what time what time will we see each other?" Michelle, this hair is atrocious. So he said that he's asking at work to be moved from the second shift to the first shift, right? So if he gets back to the first shift, he'll get home at 2:30. She goes to work at 8:30, so he'll see her when they get off from work, right? Cool. So she once again brought up his living situation. So David lives in his parents' basement. They keep saying it's like an apartment. He has his own entrance. He can come and go as he pleases, right? He doesn't always have to see his parents, right? Here's what I will say. I have two opinions about this. I don't have a problem with him living with his parents, right? I don't have a problem with that. That's not a problem. Especially the fact that, we don't know what 2025 is going to hold for us, especially with, you know, government, right? We don't know what that's going to hold. I don't have a problem with anybody who lives at home with their parents, period. But I will say, in respect to Michelle, I get where she's coming from in the sense of you sought this process out to get married. But he does say he said it multiple times that he's okay with moving out of his parents' home. So I don't know why she kept harping on him because he did say that more than once that he would move out, right? And he said that he has plans and he's saving, right? And I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's fine that you have plans and that you're saving. But again, I will say, again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging it. If my mama was still alive, I would be living with her my damn self too. I would be packing up this apartment and putting myself in storage and going home. But I can't do that. But then at the same time, like I said, with him wanting to go through this process of finding a wife, then you should have already honestly been out of your parents' home. This is just my personal opinion because I don't fault her for having her feelings, but I do fault her for bringing it up when the man says he would move, right? Like I said, this couple, I don't see them making it no time soon because she got a problem with the fact that he smokes, which I don't blame her about that. I don't like smoking. I have an ex that smokes, and I told my ex, like, You know how I feel about cigarette smoke. Can't stand it. Hate it with a passion, right? So we see as she met with his family, and his mom was defending him, right? And I expected his mom to defend him. But like I said a few minutes ago, I don't have a problem with him living at home. The problem comes in with the fact of him wanting to go through this process of being married to a complete stranger and you still living at home with your mom and daddy. Like, I would think that before you came on this process that you would have already saved up enough money to do whatever it is that you wanted to do with whatever you want to do. Now, what I will say about Michelle, you just seem like you got a little issues yourself, right? Because the family asked what are some of her pet peeves. She said men in flip flops. I was like, excuse you, men in flip flops, girl. That is so particular and so picky, right? So Michelle's family is telling him she got a because he brought up the fact that he lives at home with his parents. They tell her she got a problem with that. They telling him he's too pushy, right? Honestly, when it comes to Michelle, it just don't seem like anything is gonna be right when it comes to David. And that's why I don't see these two making it. Now, the fact that in next week's episode he gonna cuss her out, I'm not here for that. I ain't here for that. So to get to Mexico, right? Michelle, actually, before they even got to Mexico, when they met up to talk about, meeting a family, Michelle is still talking about him living with his family. She talked about it in Mexico. It's like, my God, Michelle. Okay, girl. What you want him to like? You married him at this point. You can ask for it to be annulled. You because it don't seem like you're gonna get over this. It don't seem like you're gonna get over it or let it go because it seemed like it's gonna be a big area of contention for you. And I don't think you can let it go. But that's my personal opinion. So that's really it, you guys. Like I said, the couples, they all went to Mexico for the honeymoon. They were all pretty much talking about, how good things are, with the exception of Madison. Madison, talking about how scared she is, but she did tell Alan, because he was worried about being able to touch her, hold her hand. She told him don't walk on eggshells when it comes to her. And that's really all we got for this week's episode of Married at First Sight, you guys. If you guys watched the episode, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, turn your post notifications on, and share the video, you guys. And until next time, you guys, please stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.